you're gonna break into. On you.
Time for Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. It began as a podcast, went live on the net, and transformed into a full-blown empire. Across the web, on Fight Now TV, and on radio stations around the world. It's the only daily boxing talk radio show on the planet, hosted by the only guy with the balls to do it. Many have stepped into the ring. Many have tried to take the belt. And one by one, they've fallen. Another victim of the undisputed heavyweight champion of boxing talk radio. Talkin' Boxing with Billy C is on now.
My style is impetuous, my defense is impregnable, and I'm just ferocious. I want your heart.
We're coming to you live from the Billy C studio in Lake George, New York. I'm Bill Calogero, and it's time for Talking Boxing with Billy C. Good morning, good day, good evening, whenever you're listening or watching. Hope you're doing all right. Busy show scheduled for today, as usual, especially on a Friday. Can you believe it's Friday already? Had a busy week. You know, I promise next week we'll get to our feature fighter, which is going to be Terrible Terry Norris. He's inducted into the BillyCBoxing Hall of Fame this year. And we want you to make sure you show up, support him. November 16, 17, 18, visit our website, www.BillyCBoxing.com, for the information on that. And speaking of BillyCBoxing, this show is being brought to you in part by Cat's Nationwide Luxury Transportation Service. If you need a limo and you're someplace in the United States, then you need to give my girl Cat a call, 202-351-7496. That's 202-351-7496. Tell her Billy C sent you. But remember, she's my girl. And don't forget, Cat's Nationwide Luxury Transportation Service is the official limo service of the BillyCBoxing Hall of Fame Induction Weekend Gathering, which is taking place November 16th, 17th, 18th, like I just said before. Check out the website for all the information. There's BillyCBoxing Hall of Fame posters. I guess we call them posters, banners, whatever. Click one of those and it'll give you the latest news, who got inducted. We've gotten confirmations that everyone will be there. All the inductees from last year and the majority of the family members from last year and then some will be here. All of the living inductees from this year have already committed that they'll be up for the Hall of Fame induction weekend. And we got some really good presentations and stuff going on. You know, what do you call them? Presentations and I don't know. You know, little shows, little speeches, little stuff that's good. Last year we learned about the art. A lot of us really loved that one. And as a matter of fact, I haven't heard from my man Runcie, and we're hoping that he's going to come back and give us an update on the art and boxing. Plus, we got a whole bunch of stuff. And I do know that Jersey Joe Walcott. We got James. James, my man James. James, why can't I think of your last name? James Curl. That's right. I'm sorry. He's the author of the new James Curl book. Yeah, the James Curl book on Jersey Joe Walcott. Last year he did a presentation. This year he's going to be doing a little more involved presentation, he told me. He's copying off his buddy, Austin Colleen, who writes for us. And I tell you, here's the best part, though. The book's going to be available this year. Last year he was talking about, when the book comes out. So this year he'll get to talk about, here you go, here's a copy of the book. You want it signed? But anyway, and plus Terry Norris's lovely wife is going to do a presentation on, they call it Parkinsonism. It's a connection with Parkinson's disease and boxing. So looking forward to a lot of educational stuff this year. So make your plans now. You can visit the website, www.BillyCBoxing.com, and click the one of the banners that say Billy C. Boxing Hall of Fame. Anyway, that's all about Kat's Nationwide Luxury Transportation Service, because she's going to be driving us around. And we'll all be drooling over her again. But give her a call. Tell her Billy C. sent you. 202-351-7496. The show is also being brought to you in part by Campanaro and Tomkovich. If you're looking for a lawyer, can help you with a will, maybe some real estate deal, maybe a matrimonial issue, and, of course, criminal charges. If you're trying to stay out of trouble or get something done, you need to call Campanaro and Tomkovich. Let them knock out your legal problem. Huh? I came up with that one, huh? Let them knock out your legal problem. Give Campanaro and Tomkovich a call, 845-221-4099. That's 845-221-4099. Tell them Billy C. sent you. And while you're at it, tell them Billy C. said that. I'll pick up their consultation. I'll pick up your consultation fee. 845-221-4099. And, of course, the Halftime Bar and Grill, Route 9, South Glens Falls. If you're looking to hang out with some cool people, you're looking to watch your favorite sporting event on a big screen TV, and if you're like me, looking for some good food, you need to go to the Halftime Bar and Grill. 518-792-4869. If you want to call ahead, that's 518-792-4869. And when I'm not doing my own broadcast, and when there is an ESPN Friday Night Fight on, you can find me at the Halftime Bar and Grill, hanging out, eating, drinking, and watching the fights, and hoping that you're going to come and hang with us. And if you do, all you do is talk to us about the fights, maybe about boxing in general, and I'll give you some stuff. I have a trunk full of prizes to give away. So stop over at the Halftime Bar and Grill. If you're coming a distance and you want to have some fun, because we hang out all night, I get there way early. I get there like around, dinner time, 6 o'clock. But if you're going to come around and hang out and have a few drinks, make sure you don't drink and drive so we can hook you up with hotel information and all that stuff. Speaking of hooking up, when I do other broadcasts, like on the 24th when we do the French Invasion from Macon, Georgia, we're going to pipe it into the Halftime Bar and Grill. So anybody that's listening that does go to the Halftime Bar and Grill, guess what? Not only do you get to hang out with us on Fridays when we're there, but when we're not there and we're doing a broadcast, you're going to get to watch and listen to the event we're doing. So we're excited about that. Halftime Bar and Grill, 518-792-4869. We got Marty Mulcahy from Max Boxing scheduled to come up a little later. We're going to break down and give you predictions of our Billy C. Challenge fights. This week we have 11, and a couple of them were tough, man. A couple of them were really tough. I got to get Marty's opinion on several. And that's coming up a little later on the show. I got some news about some, not one, but two highly competitive fights that were just announced. We'll get to that a little bit later. But now, like we've been doing for the last, I guess, couple of months, maybe at least a month or so, reading all the emails as we kick off the show like we're doing right now. And I'm going to give it a shot right now with some of the ones we have. This comes from USS Curtis Wilbur. Hey, Wilbur. You guys remember that? Mr. Ed? Gee, Wilbur. But USS says, hope you just post the actual commentary instead of having us watch the whole video. First of all, that's a really original name. USS Curtis Wilbur. I think our society has become loaded with ADD victims, and this one was from a YouTube, so I guess they don't get it. I guess the YouTube people, because I noticed that there's like there's so many different groups that listen to our show or watch our show. First, we got the live listeners, right? And we have the Fight Now viewers, and we have the replay watchers that are catching us on LDL TV. Yo, John. And then we got our premium podcast subscribers they're my favorite people, of course. And then we got the YouTubers, and the YouTubers are like, they all got ADD, man. They can't sit. What they don't get is that this isn't just a video clip. We do want to break it down, and I'm actually looking for people that are willing to do that for us. Look at the video and take out certain sections of it and copy it for me so I can put it up there. But so far I haven't found anybody to do it for the right price. Nothing. And we're looking for like a student. Doesn't anybody need to earn extra credits or something? But anyway, a lot of these guys like USS don't get it. We're putting up our show up there. It's the whole show, man. So the beauty of YouTube is you can, fast forward it if you want, or you don't even have to watch it. So I appreciate taking the time to write that comment. But it is a whole show. So Bazooka, my man Bazooka. We're buds, man. We love to disagree. First, I want to give a little personal message to Bazooka. He answered the trivia question, and I guess he answered it on the YouTube page. We have one rule with the trivia question, and everybody's eligible. So Bazooka, you're definitely eligible, but they all have to be submitted through the email, and it's Billy@TalkinBoxing TalkinBoxing.com. We do it that way because if there was a tie, and there have been times when people win by literally a few seconds or a couple of minutes or whatever, we use the timestamp that the email picks up on. So you have to submit it that way. That's all I'm going to say, man. He submitted an answer. All I can say is email it, Billy@TalkinBoxing, TalkinBoxing.com, and see if you're a winner. All right. Anyway, that was a little message to him. But Bazooka says, gotcha on the point about Mayweather fans. I read you wrong here. Yeah, he mentioned, if you missed yesterday's show, he thought that I was referring to him when I made a reference to, typical Mayweather fans, and he immediately thought it was, referring to black fans. He thought that I meant that he was black. And I had to straighten him out about that. And then when they made a comment in the in the chat room, I went off on this racism thing yesterday. And just to remind everyone, when I say those Mayweather fans, they're similar to Pacquiao fans in the respect that they have tunnel vision. It has nothing to do with the color of their skin. As a matter of fact, I know many Mayweather fans that are not black. Okay, so that puts a fork in that. I know it doesn't help when Floyd starts talking about frying up cats and dogs and go send Manny Pacquiao to eat some sushi. But anyway, he says there's been so much negative behavior in regards to race when it comes to Mayweather issues. I've had a lot of garbage thrown my way by Floyd fans, and I've seen a lot of nasty stuff directed at other people, and most of it is race-related. That's why I assumed what I did about your comments. I agree with you, man. It makes me sick, and I don't know why people do that. It's like they know, they start getting into an argument, and that's what I love about boxing. It's so subjective that we could have three people that watch the same knockout or watch the same punch, and one guy says it landed, one guy says it didn't, one guy says it grazed him. One guy says it didn't even throw a punch. So and it's something that we would all be very adamant about, and it does seem at times that when the Mayweather and Pacquiao fans are going at it, they start talking about, technical issues like why Mayweather would win or why Pacquiao would win and blah, 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 blah. And then all of a sudden it gets into race and it does get nasty. So I agree with Bazooka on this. He also wants to close by saying, he laughed at me pretending, because he's the one calling me the old man, and he liked when I put my teeth in. So, Bazooka, good points on the Mayweather stuff, and go submit your answer. Not that I'm telling you it's right or wrong, but go submit that. Listen, I got to take a break. When I come back, speaking of Manny and speaking of Floyd, I got an email about this, and this person emailed us, and I don't know, it almost seems, as I read the beginning of it here, it almost seems like this person has discovered something new, but to tell you the truth, it's the same old thing.
If you're in upstate New York and you need a trucking company, then you need Roselli Enterprises. Roselli Enterprises is trucking at its finest. They have it all. Dump trucks, dump trailers, walk-in floors, flatbeds, flowboys, tankers, loaders, and a full line of roll-off containers for any job, big or small. Roselli Enterprises is also the source for all your sand, gravel, and topsoil needs. Visit them on the web at RoselliTrucking.com or call 315-433-5115. That's 315-433-5115 and tell them Billy C sent you.
Are you ready, America? Then let's get it on with Fight Now TV. It's time, fight fans. Your channel has arrived. All the fights, all the names, all the action. From world-class boxing events to mixed martial arts showdowns and other combat sports matchups, Fight Now TV delivers the hits and more. Call your television provider and tell them you want to get it on with Fight Now TV. For more details, go to fightnow.com.
We've got a great matchup tonight. Fighting out of the left corner is the #1 ranked contender.
No, he is not.
I'm sorry, but who are you?
I am the IBO computer. I am programmed to provide only fair and unbiased boxing rankings. This fighter is the #15 ranked contender.
Fair and unbiased boxing rankings? That's a new concept.
Actually, it is not. The IBO has provided unbiased computerized rankings for many years.
Well, we've still got a great fight tonight, folks. In the left corner is the #15 ranked contender.
The IBO, the champion of integrity. Learn more at IBOBoxing.com.
Check out BillyCBoxing.com now, or feel the wrath of the mighty mustache.
Oh, that hurts. Why are you doing that to my face? I hate you. I hate you.
That's BillyCBoxing.com. Consider this your warning.
As a young boy, all Billy C dreamed about was one day having his own catchphrase.
And we're back. And we're back.
One boy, one dream, one day, everyone will say.
And we're back. 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 And we're back.
Catchphrase coming soon to a theater near you.
And we're back. You're listening to the Talking Boxing with Billy C radio show. You're watching us on LDL TV right now. That's right. Is my new girlfriend Michelle there? Hi, Michelle. Oh no, she's not there. She's out selling. How about Lori Dawn? Yeah. Is she around? No, just John. Just John and JJ. Let's see. I had to show David Allen. He's in England right now, and he's trying to. I asked him a simple question. He thinks I'm getting the answers from him. He's last I knew, he's down at the bottom of the picks with me. But I already proved to him. That was that white sheet I held up just a minute ago. It's my picks. They're already made, DA. So don't worry. But anyway, I got an email from Carlo, and I'm not even gonna try to pronounce the last name. But and the email reads as follows: simple proof that Floyd is ducking Manny. If Floyd knows he can beat Pacquiao, this fight would have happened a long time ago. This is the questions I ask Floyd fans. Why wouldn't Floyd fight Manny if he knows he can beat him? Why would he have one person blocking him in front of why would he have one person blocking him from being the best of his era? Why go through your everyday life where people pester you about the Pacquiao fight? Why allow criticism from people in boxing writers. Why not win the biggest fight of your lifetime, of our lifetime, and get paid the biggest payday of your life if he really knows he can beat Manny? Their answer is he knows that Manny is a real big threat and he's going to avoid the Pac-Man, but will have his legacy tainted for doing so. Thanks for the email, Carlo. Listen, we've said this a million times. Whether you're a Pacquiao fan or whether you're a Floyd fan or whatever, neither one of these guys are afraid of each other. I think in Mayweather's case, he's pulling, and this is simple. He's trying to get the best deal. It's obviously the biggest fight and everything else. He's trying to get the best deal for himself. You also have other stumbling blocks in, and the biggest one is Bob Arum. And then, of course, Mayweather thinks he is the sport, similar to the WBC, so he wants a bigger cut. And, it's not about him thinking or worrying that Manny would beat him, because most fighters feel that they have this feeling of invincibility, and Floyd definitely does. I mean, he's made comments that he's the best ever, which is ludicrous, as Mike Tyson would say. But, as far as the biggest payday, he clearly could make the biggest payday. I think if the fight's going to happen, it will happen in November. I agree with, what they said, the experts, especially the guy, Ken Hirschman, the new guy over at HBO, said, we have a shelf life on this fight, and it's going to expire in November. If it doesn't happen, then so be it. As a matter of fact, aside from this email right now, I feel that it's kind of simmered out a little, died down a little bit. We got two big fights coming up. Pacquiao's fighting Bradley, and there's a couple of people that actually picking Bradley, and they want to wager with me. And one of my guys, Rick, he used to be a regular listener. I don't think he does anymore. I think he just listens once a week or a couple of times a week. He's very confident. He's willing to put his money where his mouth is. And some other people think Bradley's going to beat Pac. I'm not saying Cotto's going to beat Mayweather, but I do think it's a competitive fight. So both of those guys got pretty tough fights coming up, and they both got some other issues outside the ring as well. And we all know Floyd's checking into the Slammer Hotel June 1st. And Manny Pacquiao might be joining him because he's got some tax issues that he's battling. So you never know. What's going to happen. But we'll see with that. We'll see what goes on with that. My man George, he says, him and I were talking back and forth. I wanted to share his thoughts on Maurice Wack. We were mentioning him yesterday. He says, I thought he was a joke at first, but he's improved where I feel like he's becoming a good heavyweight. I want to see how he handles Fields and how he looks doing it. He says he's a big heavyweight who can punch and could be a problem for anyone, but I want to see how he takes a punch. He did get tagged a little and wobbled against McBride, but boy, did he take him out. And he says he's going to be there at ringside. Thanks for the email, George. I know I responded to you already, but I'll respond publicly. The bottom line is, I felt the same way as George. I was a little hesitant, and I gave George a comparison. If you look at the body of Maurice Wack, aside from the size and stuff, and you see the way his muscle tone is. Yesterday I used an example with Anne-Sophie Mathis. I think they're similar. They don't look like they have a hell of a lot of muscle. They don't look like when they deliver punches they got a lot of power. But all you got to do is look at the knockout ratio, look at the fighters that they fight, and you can see that they must have some kind of power. Another comparison I made with Maurice Wack was Roman Karmazin. If you look at him, his body is almost identical, a smaller version of Wack. But I think that the biggest improvement in Maurice Wack was the fact that he got Juan de Leon in his corner. And although I saw him fight Kevin McBride, I was ringside for that fight. I did see him take some punches, but I don't know if I saw him get wobbled, what I would call wobbled. But I certainly saw him practically kill Kevin McBride. Some people say, it didn't land as flush as it appeared. I was right there, and it did. So I don't know where people get off saying that. But anyway, that's my thoughts on WOC. And I have one more email. Now, this comes from a guy that's pretty important to the show. You may not realize it, but my man Andre G, because I could never pronounce his last name. This guy helped us big time with this show. As a matter of fact, he was the one that wrote the code for the whole shell, so to speak, of the BillyCBoxing .com website, and I'm forever indebted to Andre for that. And we're trying to shower him with accolades, but the guy didn't come up to the Hall of Fame last year. He promised me he's coming this year, so we're going to recognize him. Did a great job with that, and I'll forever have him on a pedestal, that's for sure. But he emailed me, and he wants me to understand, and he wants you to understand. This guy's from the Ukraine, all right? And he says, Klitschko's are my people. I am from the Ukraine, and they made me a boxing fan. Now, him and I have talked about this a lot through emails and stuff like that, even on the telephone, about Klitschko. Sometimes he gets mad at me if I don't give Klitschko the credit and stuff like that. But he goes on to say, and he wanted to make sure that everybody understands that Klitschko are more than, he's more than just fans of Klitschko's. They're people of his. They're his. He's Ukrainian. They're Ukrainian. They're like a couple of Goombas. So he says, I loved that Vlad did not react then when Chisora spit water into his face. But I still think that the ban is too much. He's talking about Chisora. He says. He feels that overall that the ban, the lifetime ban from with the BBBSC issued to him the other day, and then of course the other three-letter sanctioning body who banned him for life. He says Chisora brought excitement. He does have a heart. He said in the Vitali fight he showed the heart. He says I want to see him fight again. Boxers can take a slap or spit or a brawl. I think Chisora should fight on. I'd like to see Chisora against Areola, maybe against Adamek, Boistov. These are all good fights. I think they took enough money out of his purse. In his opinion, they should give him 3 months suspension and let him come back in the ring. What do I think? I emailed him real quick on this one, and I agree. I think that the lifetime ban is too much. But what sucks about the sentencing, so to speak, the bans that these sanctioning bodies, and in this case the BBBOC, British Boxing Board of Controls, have issued on Derek Chisora aren't, they're not etched in stone, man. If he goes and gets, some help or shows that he tried to correct the wrongdoings, I think they would reinstate him because of the issues that Andre mentions here. He is exciting. He does bring some excitement to the heavyweight division, and he's not a bad fighter. He's a better than marginal fighter. I think the reason why the BBBOC, which I look at their ban as more something I could accept more than the WBC, because the WBC is just a bunch of they're a bunch of idiots. I just think that his history, he's had a history before. He was already suffered through a suspension. He did some time. I think he beat up his girlfriend. He's had some anger management issues, and I don't want to use a WBC thing, but I bet you if this guy went and enrolled himself in some anger management course, or went and showed that he addressed the issue and promises never ever to spit water or slap somebody in the face or get punched by someone with a bottle in his hand. And that's a whole other thing. He's definitely become the scapegoat, which I think a lot of people, including myself, are kind of leaning towards leniency with Derek Chisora. But I'm convinced that if he went and showed that he tried to correct the wrongdoing, that the BBB of C would reinstate him. And then once that happens, what does he really care about the WBC? So, and I don't think he does. So we'll have to wait and see. Hey, listen, I got to take a break. When I come back, we're scheduled to have Marty Mulcahy. That's right. The man, the myth, the legend himself, Marty Mulcahy. We'll find out what he's got to say about the Wama fight. And then, of course, some fights of this week. We got a couple of tough ones. Of course, those are the ones I'm going to ask him first.
Are you ready, America? Then let's get it on with Fight Now TV. It's time, fight fans. Your channel has arrived. All the fights, all the names, all the action. From world-class boxing events to mixed martial arts showdowns and other combat sports matchups, Fight Now TV delivers the hits and more. Call your television provider and tell them you want to get it on with Fight Now TV. For more details, go to fightnow.com.
Broadcasting in all corners of the globe, on the web and radio.
He would scoff at a stretch of that man, I
would think. You're listening to Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. From upstate New York in the good old US of A.
Boxing is here to stay because we are here to stay.
The best 2 hours of boxing talk on the airwaves.
Hey, fight fans, check out KOFantasyBoxing.com. KO Fantasy Boxing is boxing's only trademarked fantasy game. Check it out, www.KOFantasyBoxing.com. Select your own gym, your own fighters, track them through a season that can last from 3 months to a year, depending upon which league you join. You got to check this out, man, www.KOFantasyBoxing.com. Join it today. Again, www.KOFantasyBoxing.com. And tell him Billy C sent ya.
Now back to Talkin' Boxing with Billy C., the only radio host man enough to take a punch from Mike Tyson.
Wait a minute, man. Hold on there. Jeremy, man, I need you to take this one, all right?
Wait, what? No way. I can't do this.
Need I remind you I'm Billy C, damn it? Now put on that mustache and get in there.
Hey, look at me. I'm Billy C. Crap.
The undisputed heavyweight champion of Boxing Talk Radio. It's Talkin' Boxing with Billy C.
Test 1 2. Test 1 2. My fellow Americans, good evening. Welcome back to Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. It's great to be here discussing the sweet science with everybody. I love boxing. I love talking boxing. It's what I do.
Bill.
Wait, what?
Bill.
Why are you interrupting me? What?
Wrong.
What's the problem?
Billy, C.
I did not have...
We're gonna have to ask
wrong
you.
Speech. What do you mean wrong, Billy C? What's going on here? Fine, I'll go. I just wanted to talk some boxing on TPSradio.net. That's all I wanted to do. I don't need your damn show. I'll get my own talking wrestling with the other Billy C. Yeah, that sounds good. I've always been a Hulkamaniac anyway.
Broadcasting live, brother. Welcome back to Talking Boxing with Billy C. on the mighty TPSradio.net, brother. What you gonna do, brother?
And we're back. You're listening to the Talking Boxing with Billy C radio show. And you're watching us on the Fight Now television channel. If you don't have Fight Now, you need to call your local television provider, whether it's a satellite dish or a cable network, and tell them that you want the Fight Now channel added to your sports channel lineup. It's that simple. Pick up the phone, tell them that you want it. You can find out all the information about the channel by visiting their website, www.fightnow.com. Speaking of now, joining us, the man himself. I know he's getting ready. He's getting ready. This is his weekend. All these Irish guys, they wait all year for this weekend. Marty Mulcahy joins us. What's up, my man?
Okay. I'm going to have to call you back and yell at you because I only caught like a third of that. The phone line's breaking up again. Like last week, I can only hear like every third word.
All right, man.
It has nothing to do with drinking this time.
Yeah, okay, sure. Okay, call me back. Put the green beer down and call me. All right. There's Marty Mulcahy. He's going to give us a shout back. And, it's the thing, man. It's the thing with these Irish guys. At least the American Irishmen, St. Paddy's Day is like their excuse to go out and make, fools of themselves. Even though they, let's let them in on a little secret. All the Irish guys, let's let you in on a little secret. Every time you guys drink, you make fools of yourselves. You shouldn't just wait for St. Paddy's Day. Come on. They're making fools of themselves all the time. Is that better?
I only heard the last three words, making fool of themselves all the time, so I'm not sure if that's better or not.
Oh, well, it's about you guys. It's about you Irish guys. You know, I'm always saying, you know, hey, why do Irish guys, maybe I'll ask you, why do Irish guys, when it's time, and gals, when it's St. Paddy's Day, they go out and it's like, oh, now we're going to be able to go and get drunk and nobody's going to bother us. I'm like, wait a minute, man. These guys, when they're hitting the bars, the only difference is they dye the beer green on St. Paddy's Day. Aside from that, they make idiots out of themselves all the time, don't they? Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm listening. I just put on my offended look and everything, so I couldn't speak to it.
Oh. Well, you know, so maybe I'm wrong.
I was eating my potato. I was having my breakfast potato, my raw one. So.
Yeah, that's having your raw potato. Yeah, getting ready. That's another thing that has always been synonymous. Do you know when that started with the corned beef thing? I mean, because I don't particularly care for it, so I never eat it. But when did that become like the meal for?
It's just a traditional thing. It's like the like the spaghetti's attributed to the Italians. It's just that and the potatoes and the Guinness. I mean, that's all you really need. They said there's enough sustenance in Guinness to keep you alive for weeks if you need it.
That's true. And I love potatoes, so hey, maybe I'm not going to say it, but anyway.
Maybe one of your forefathers got around or something like that?
I don't know, man. But we couldn't find our way out of town, so I doubt it. But
hey,
remember,
you guys found your way from Italy to Spain to America. You guys discovered it.
Yeah, but come on, he was lost. He was looking for some other place. Remember,
for India.
That's right. That was the whole thing, you know. But he made good time, you know. He was a lost, but he made us some good time. But Juanma Lopez, Orlando Salido. You know, I knew Salido could knock him out again. I wasn't shocked. As a matter of fact, I wanted to pick him so bad. But the reason why I didn't, Marty, is because I'm trying to pick more intelligently this year. And I said to myself, Juanma's not going to let the same thing happen. But, you know, I asked you this last week. No matter what he did in the gym to improve some of his flaws, the one thing that he can improve was his chin. And I think that was evident on Saturday night.
Yeah, I had a feeling that he had enough boxing skills to avoid getting hit, and obviously I have to rethink that. It's I mean, you go back to previous fights before that against Matagua, you know, where he was dead on his feet in the 12th round because he was just getting hit too much throughout the fight, and we're just from this point forth. I mean, Salido. You don't know if he's his, you know, Joe Frazier to Muhammad Ali, you know, a guy that just has his numbers, you know, or Manuel Marquez to Manny Pacquiao. But now looking back in previous fights, he was getting hit a lot in previous fights, but it's just that Salido was the guy who carried enough punching power to make those punches that impacted, you know, meaningful. And he really destroyed him twice in a row now. And those are the type of fights that really, I mean, put a lot of miles on the odometer of a fighter, you know, no matter how youthful, you know, what is Juanma now? He's not even 30 yet, so I just see this is like, you know, the tipping point. You know, you get to the top of the hill and it starts going down the other side of the hill. And with Juanma, like I said, he's taking so much punishment. I don't know what his future really holds for him. He's going to be exciting no matter what. I mean, even when he was winning by knockout. So the excitement's going to be there, but I don't know if the winning's going to be there anymore.
You know, I think the trick with Salido, you know, because you're right, he's not exactly, I wouldn't call him a refined fighter, I wouldn't call him a finesse fighter or anything like that, but I think what won him this fight, and which would make him a tough out against any fighter, and if you go back and look at his losses, which he's got double digits in, I don't think he did the same thing he did in the two fights against Juanma, and that's volume. He threw a lot of punches. That's why, to me, he was way ahead on the scorecards. Because, you know, when Juanma would throw 4 punches, Salido threw 8. And I think that's the trick in beating an opponent in their backyard.
Not only that, he was accurate with them, too. But, you know, like, once again, you know, maybe we aren't giving, you're right, maybe we're not giving Salido enough credit for what he did. Not only did he hang in there with him, and he was accepting of his punishment. That's the thing that separates, you know, great boxers from you know, average and middling boxers is they're willing to throw a punch at the same time as the opponent, whereas the other boxers, you know, they wait for the other guy to throw his punch, then they counter, or they try to lead. But a guy who's willing to throw at the same time of his opponent, that's a special fighter. And Salido, you know, he falls into that category. You know, he's willing to take that punch to land his punch. And it showed in the previous fights where he got dropped by an average fighter, in the fight before that when he had his optional defense. It can be tricky, but when guys can do it, they're really exciting. I point to Carl Frosch as another guy who's like Salido. He doesn't have the physical speed and the physical, enough to rattle off a combination, but he's willing to throw at the same time as his opponent, and because he takes those chances, he can win the fight, because you don't see a lot of those fighters who are willing to take those chances.
We got Mikey Garcia and Bernabé Concepcion. I was kind of hoping that Concepcion would give us a little more in that fight, but then again, I don't know about you, but the way I saw that fight was like they were telling Garcia, just relax, just wait. And all of a sudden it was like they said, okay, it's time, and he went in there and just blew out Concepcion. I mean, that's the way it looked to me. I was watching the fight and I'm thinking, oh no, what happened to Garcia? He doesn't have this excitement. He's lacking something. He seems lackadaisical. And then all of a sudden, bam, 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 it's over, and what's up with that? I mean, he in the fight that he had against Lopez, I mean, it was nonstop. I mean, back and forth the whole fight. This fight, it was really like they had training wheels on him.
Yeah, I think it has something to do with the opponent as well. Remember, Concepcion is a dangerous puncher. Remember, he put Walmart down in their title fight when Walmart got too wild and started going after him without any defense. And Garcia, remember, this guy's been around the boxing ring since, growing up. I mean, since he was a baby. He's taken in all these, even through osmosis. When he wasn't in the ring, he was learning about boxing. So he's really intelligent. He knows when to step it up. He knows when the opening is there. And until that opening presents itself, he just works towards it. He keeps busy. He's accurate. He has long punches. He does perfect form, perfect balance. I mean, the last guy I saw like this who just did everything by the book so well was Ricardo Lopez, Finito, back in the 90s. And he has that ingrained sense of boxing. He just knows what to do. And my theory on that, why he didn't do it till the 7th round, was, that's the money that they put down in Vegas.
Yeah.
I mean, you're right. It did look like he could do this at any time, but why take that chance? He's just a consummate professional. He just knows the ins and outs of boxing. He's not going to take that chance and run into the punches that, Dewama obviously was willing to do. No. Excitement comes at a cost, and until you reach that superstar level, save yourself a little bit, and that's what he's doing, and he can do it because he really does everything by the book. I mean, look at that balance, look at the form. It is all there for him. The only guy I see giving him trouble at featherweight would be, Yuriorkis Gamboa, because he does not box by the book. Anybody that boxes by the book is going to have a hard time getting by Miguel Garcia.
Yeah, no, you're right. I agree. One more fighter from last week, Ricky Burns. I mean, this is a guy, I jumped on this bandwagon. I predicted his win over Martinez to get that other lower weight title, and he followed the Marty Mulcahy rule. He got a belt, and this guy seems to be getting better and better and better, and I love it. The only thing he doesn't have so far is knockout power, but he's impressive. What do you think?
Yeah, and he doesn't. He's a worker. He's the blue collar guy. I mean, and I was watching the broadcast on the internet, and they were talking about, you talk about a blue collar guy. Literally 2 days after that fight, he was at a local sports store where he works part time selling sneakers. I mean, you love this guy. It's just you don't want to say Rocky because he does have skills. That's the other thing. He knows when to throw punches. He's a volume guy, but it's smart. He'll back off. He'll wait and let the opponent come to him like he did in some stretches there. And when he doesn't see the opening, he tries to force it through lateral movement. He has decent feet. That's what he did against Michael Casitas when he couldn't overwhelm him with his volume and authority and really a big upper body that I don't think he gets enough credit for, where he leans on opponent and tires him down. He went laterally and he worked the body. He has more options than I gave him credit for. And looking back, maybe because I picked Roman Martinez to beat him, just not educated enough on Ricky Burns. The guy looked really, really good.
Yeah, no, he did. Well, don't feel bad. Most everyone picked Martinez in that fight, too. But anyway, we got a couple of tough ones on the challenge this week. We had 11 fights. Some of them are layup fights, in my opinion. But one of the first tough ones I had a hard time with was the heavyweight fight. Now, Kevin Johnson, to me, is just I feel so dissed by this guy because I thought he was really going to be the answer for the heavyweight division, and he just laid that proverbial egg against Klitschko when he had the chance, especially following all his boasts that he was the greatest heavyweight of all time, better than Ali. All those lines he gave, I know he's just trying to promote himself, but he said the wrong things. He's in there with a guy that's got some knockout power, but he really hasn't fought anybody. But then again, neither has Johnson. I'm 50-50 in this fight. Who do you like?
Yeah, this is one of the few times where it's 50-50, and I'm not going with the hometown guy. Kevin Johnson is one of those guys I really don't trust because he came to the sport late, and it's one of those things with heavyweights where if you didn't grow up, when you come to the sport from another sport, you just don't know what to do when things go against you. And I think that was a little bit of the case with Kevin Johnson against Vitaly Klitschko. When things went against him, he didn't know what to do. He just shut it down. He went into survival mode. And as disappointing as it was, I hold no loss against the Klitschko against you. So I look at everything else you did. And in everything else Kevin Johnson did besides the Klitschko fight, he won. And he enters this fight, the bigger man, just by weight and by height. And the other thing is reach. He has like a 5-inch reach advantage. And he's a boxer who knows how to use that 5-inch reach advantage. So, I'm assuming this scoring is going to be on the up and up, and in Australia, generally it is. What was that famous fight where Zuma Nelson went down there and beat Jeff Fenech, It's just really going to be, it should be not really an exciting fight, because I really do think he's going to keep it at distance, jab, right hand, clinch is what it's going to be over and over again. And I don't think Leopai has the boxing skills to go to a plan B once he sees that he can't get on the inside and wear on Kevin Johnson. So if everything goes by plan, it should be Kevin Johnson, because he still has more speed. He's just more well-preserved, because both of these guys are over 30 years of age.
Yeah, they're both the same age. And the thing about Johnson, though, is when I was dissecting his career, I was ringside for a couple of his fights, and with the exception of Klitschko, he really hasn't fought anybody. I mean, Bruce Sheldon, that fight was... the Seldon fight was just, he got this really bad, I was ringside, he got this really bad eye. It was almost like he was saying Kevin thumbed him in the eye, and it just swelled up and he couldn't continue. And up to that point, he was tagging Johnson, and I don't know. It's a tough one. But
remember, Johnson's also a really experienced sparring partner. I mean, you name the top heavyweight in the world, he's been in his training camp and learning as well. So it's not just, even if you're not facing the really, really best, it's kind of like, I don't know if we're going to talk about Tim Coleman later on today, but
of course.
He was in Oscar De La Hoya, Shane Mosley, and all these other big training camps. So if you're not facing the best, in live fire in the ring, the next best thing is to go to their sparring, is to go and spar these champions to see how they become champions, see the work ethic it takes, and also see them in the ring, get used to that kind of speed. Another guy, Edwin Rodriguez, he went to Carl Frosch's and Daniel Gill training camp, and those things make you better.
No, I agree. Another tough one is Omar Figueroa. Glenn Donaire against Omar Salado. These two guys are very similar. I mean, their rise to where they are now is almost identical to each other. They're the same age, the same size. This is a tough one. Who do you like?
Yeah, I did have a really tough time with this. The one thing that threw me off with this, I think Donaire might be a little bit more well-preserved, because he's literally just coming off like a 3-year layoff, because he lost to Ulysses Solis in a title fight, and then it took 3 years off, and then all of a sudden reappeared, a month or 2 months ago, and defeated Nene Gonzalez, who used to be a really good, Alex Sanchez, who used to be a really good flyweight champion, and not anymore. Either Alex Sanchez was seriously used up, or Glenn Donaire is really recharged his batteries. And I'm going to go on the assumption that Donaire has recharged his batteries. Now, the hard thing is going to be for him is he's going down to Mexico.
We just lost you, Marty. Give us a shout back. Marty, he's got to give us a call back here. We're talking about Glenn Donaire and Omar Salado, and that's a tough one. Marty's giving us his thoughts on that one. Before that, we're talking about Alex Lepai taking on Kevin Johnson. man, I'm on the fence with that. You know, my man David Allen is leaning towards Lepai. Lepai's got the punching power. I mean, he's got most of his wins come by knockout. But you know, the points that Marty made were exactly what I was nervous about, and I say nervous because, you know, I hate like hell to pick Johnson because how much I loathe him at this point. But you know, the boxing ability could very well be the thing. What's going on here? And speaking of things, I'm going to have to restart my whole damn phone system here. So Marty's going to have to wait a second. Hopefully he's listening to another feed, and he'll give us a few minutes here to restart this. But some of the other fights that I thought were tough, and I definitely want to get Marty's thoughts on the Kendall Holt and Timmy Coleman fight. Now, he mentioned Tim Coleman and all his sparring experience with all these great fighters and everything else. Well, it didn't seem to help him much with Vernon Paris, and I went with Timmy Coleman in the Vernon Paris fight. And although he did drop Vernon early in that fight, one of the things that I saw was that he ran out of gas. But let's put the fights on hold for a second, and let's talk about some news, some announcements that just came out, like the big fight that was announced late last night between Abner Mares and Eric Morale. And I like this fight. And this is, we're going to get to see Mares move up in weight. We know that he was pretty successful in the lower weight classes. And now he's jumping right up, and he's taking on one of the best in the bantamweight, in the super bantamweight division. We know that he did very well in the bantamweight division because he won the Showtime's tournament in bantamweights. He beat King Kong Becco not once but twice. This guy. You can't not like him. That's for sure. Most people that follow the sport like Abner Mares. Now, when he steps in with Eric Morale, he's got a guy that's no slouch either. This is taking place April 21st. It's going to be on Showtime, and I'm looking forward to that one. So there's a fight that we can look forward to. Another one that was announced that is a big one as well, and that one is what about Robert the Ghost Guerrero? And he's taking on Selçuk Aydin. Now, Aydin is a guy that no one wants to fight. This is a fighter that, for the most of the time, fights in Turkey. I'm sorry, he's doesn't he always fight in Turkey? I thought he fought in Turkey most of the time. They're saying he's from Germany, but Selçuk Aydin wasn't he the guy from? I thought he was from Turkey, but anyway, big jump for Robert the Ghost Guerrero. Because remember, Robert the Ghost Guerrero, he was trying to get the fight with Mayweather, and it was just a publicist's, he hatched that whole thing. But this is a good move for Robert the Ghost Guerrero if he could beat Selçuk Aydin for Aydin's title. Not only would he win a title in the welterweight division, but he would be one of the, I think, if not the first, or one of the only fighters that were able to jump up those two weight classes from featherweight and then jump right into the welterweight division and win. He's not taken. I know other fighters have done it successfully, but they never have jumped from into a championship fight and won a title. Like he has. So that's something that I'm looking forward to seeing if he can do. I kind of am pulling for him, Robert the Ghost Guerrero. But Selçuk Aydin is no slouch fighter. There's no question about that. So we'll see what he does there. And that one also is scheduled to be on Showtime as well. So two nice fights scheduled to be on Showtime. Let me see if we got Marty back. Are you back?
Yes, I'm back. I tried to call you back, but I just got that English lady again.
Yeah, well, that English lady was trying to tell you that we had to reboot the whole damn system, which is actually the first time this week. I'm hearing an echo. Are you hearing it?
Yeah, I am, but I was going to try to live with it. You want me to attempt to call you back?
No. Finish your thought on Donaire Salado.
Come again? You said Salado.
Yeah,
right?
you better call me back. You better call me back.
Yeah.
All right. We got. Don't you just love our phone system? You know. Well, we got these two fights that I was just talking about. We got Marty getting ready to call us back. I'm sure we'll have him here in a second on a much better call. And you know what? You know, we're trying to pipe this now through. You know, the phone system, the Verizon, and I'll spill the beans. Verizon, I blamed it on them, and now we're having even more trouble since we moved it to the TV line. So now, is this better?
Much better.
There we go.
The Italian and the Irishman have figured it out. Let's get on with the show.
Okay, we got to stop drinking. We got to stop drinking before we come on. But
that's funny. Yeah, the Italian and the Irishman like scotch. All right.
I'll tell you. Well, the thing is we should do a show like that. We should call it the Italian and the Irishman, you know, or the Irishman and the Italian. I don't know, but.
Yeah, we got to get the order right.
Yeah, I know.
Well, the first part of the show.
We'll have to flip it. We'll have to flip a coin, but the problem is neither one of us have one, right? But but anyway, what's your thoughts on Donaire and Salado?
Yeah, I come down. You have to favor Donaire a little bit, just on past performance. He is a better amateur, and like I said, I don't know if you caught the portion where I said, you know, when Salado is lost, it's been by knockout. So he is vulnerable. And when he stepped up in competition, he has not faced as well as Glenn Donaire. So given that Glenn Donaire looks like he's recharged, has a better amateur pedigree, I'm going to go against the odds and say he's going to win down in Mexico.
Now, let's get to the fight tonight. Kendall Holt against Tim Coleman. I love this matchup, and I'm probably taking the underdog in this one. But what's your thoughts on this? Who's going to win and why?
It's desperation time for both of these guys because both will enter off a loss. The loser can forget about any kind of a title shot. Even the winner is just a fringe contender. But I favor Coleman a little bit on this because I think he has a little bit more left in him. As much as Kendall Holt showed that he has world-class potential against Tim Bradley and even in a loss to Garcia, there's always something with him. Once the first call against the referee goes against him, or the jab of the opponent starts landing consistently, it's almost like he gets negative mentally. He just shuts down mentally and says, you know, the world's against me almost, and it shows in his punch output. He gets selective in his punches, and he's the type of fighter who looks for the one perfect punch instead of working for the two average punches. And Tim Coleman's a worker, so while we have Holt, you know, waiting for that perfect punch, Tim Coleman's going to throw 3 punches, and the judges are going to see that. They prefer offense and volume out in California, and I think Coleman is going to provide that offense, you know, the volume punching. And when there's not enough action happening, Coleman's going to be the one throwing the punches, and it's going to draw the judges' eyes towards him, and I think he's going to sneak out of it with a decision win. It won't be easy, and I think he's going to have his moments, but Holt just has the potential. He has the amateur pedigree, and I really think he is the better boxer. It's just that he just doesn't make the most out of it, while Coleman is the exact opposite. He gets the most of what he has, and he's willing to work and put in those extra punches to win the round.
Yeah, I'm torn between that fight because
it is a tough fight.
Holt has so much more punching power, and I think Coleman has a tendency to tire down the stretch if you know, the Vernon Paris. You see, I'm putting a lot of emphasis on the Vernon Paris fight because
those are body punches. That's a whole different breed. I mean, yeah, I've said this before. I'd rather get hit 20 times in the head than 1 time to the liver. He was put away by body punch, and if you remember, he was winning that fight. He was bossing Paris. He was kind of moving him around the ring. He even knocked him down, and then those body punches just got to him. And as good as Holt is, he's not an excellent boxer.
We just lost you, Marty, and that's gonna be it. Terrible connection today for my man Marty Mulcahy, and he was right. You know, not only in that fight, if I recall correctly, Coleman put Paris down with a body shot, and then the body work of Vernon Paris was ended up being the demise of Tim Coleman. Excuse me. So we had a couple of things going on there. Yesterday we announced that Envengi Gradovic, who's a 12-0 prospect, guess where he's out of, but we'll see if maybe we'll get Marty back. Hold on. We got you, Marty?
Yes.
Oh, man, this phone is killing us, man. It's killing me. I was ready to just toss it, but I was being nice. But finish your thought on Coleman.
Yeah, just like I said, Coleman looks for the perfect punch, and it's his undoing. The perfection is actually his undoing because he wants that perfect punch, and in boxing, you have to work really hard to get that perfect punch. I'm not sure he's willing to do that.
You know, the body shot, I was just saying, ironically enough, isn't that what dropped Paris in the beginning of that fight? And then ultimately that's what was the demise of Timmy Coleman, right?
Yeah, because that's what Coleman does. Coleman comes at you. He wears you down. He's that bulldog in there. And I was really surprised. I thought he was going to be the one to boss it. But when that perfect punch lands to the body, it's like the video game where you see that bar go from full to nothing. A body punch can do that just like that, and surviving. That's why I'll never forget Marcos Maidana getting up in the first round for that Amir Khan body punch and really surging back to make that fight close. It's just when somebody's able to do that, that is just like the John Wayne movie, True Grit.
Hey, one quick question: what's your thoughts on the Chisora?
Oh, about the suspension?
Yeah, that they gave him indefinite suspension.
I don't like indefinite. Come on, I mean, make a decision when it comes down to it. Suspend him for a year. Most heavyweights don't even fight within. It takes them a year to get back into the ring. The top class heavyweights. So I think a year would have been good. He's an older heavyweight as well, so whatever suspension you give him is going to almost be twice as punitive. And can they really enforce it? I know they can enforce it, in Britain, but if he decides to go to South Africa and fight, in Germany and fight, can they stop him? Can they take his money is what it comes down to. And would that survive a lawsuit?
The funny thing about it is, when they lay down these indefinite, these lifetime bans, we know that the most notorious things that fighters have done, they've had bans lifted. So,
yeah, but the BBBSC is a little bit different because they actually have governmental authority. So that's what separates them from the WBC, WBA, IBF. That's a government-run organization.
Oh, so they're just as corrupt as...
I mean, the oversight is there. So that's what I'm saying. I know he cannot fight within Britain. He won't get sanctioned. That just will not happen. But if he goes overseas, can they do something with his earnings if he goes overseas? That's the question I have. And I don't know enough about the legal system over there.
Yeah, he'll probably just end up living over here and, being...
Well, the other thing is he's one of the few guys, that doesn't really need boxing. He's an entrepreneur. He's a businessman. He has I think it's a
car dealership.
Used luxury car business.
Yeah, he does well with that. As a matter of fact, that was his excuse for a lackluster performance when he fought Hay, right?
Tyson Fury, yeah.
No, you're right, Tyson Fury. But it makes me sick to hear that David Hay isn't suffering the consequences.
Because he wasn't licensed by the BBSC. He's officially retired. So
I know.
What can you do to somebody who's not part of your organization?
Well, could they prevent him from getting his license if he tries to apply?
Sure, yeah. But does he need... Like I said, I mean, you're licensed here in the USA, and you generally have to be licensed in the country to fight. So I'm saying, can he go to Germany and fight because they have a licensing authority over there as well? Will their licensing authority approve someone who's suspended in someplace else? I mean, here in the USA, you can go from state to state, be suspended in one state. I mean, look, Tommy Morrison was a famous case where he fought in Pennsylvania when he was no place else in America would let him fight.
Yeah, well. And he did West Virginia or Wyoming.
Yeah, West Virginia,
Wyoming was where his last fight was, and that was a whole another debacle. But anyway, Marty, I apologize for the phone issues. I appreciate you coming in. Enjoy St. Paddy's Day weekend. I know you're going to be enjoying watching the big fight that we didn't even get to talk about. But
yeah, I don't know how much I'm going to enjoy it, but I will watch it. I'll be rooting for Backlund against all odds. I'm getting the Guinness ready, and I'm ready for the fights, and some of them are going to take place in the boxing ring, I guess.
I think that the undercard fight between La Bamba Rodriguez and
that's the one. That's going to be the fight. It's going to steal the show. And it's a little bit like when Andy Lee and Greg McEwen got together and had that classic fight 6 months ago. And they weren't the main event. Matter of fact, I forgot who the main event was of that fight. And those two stole the show. And I think there might be a little bit of a case in this fight. And tomorrow night as well.
Sergio Martinez was the main event.
Oh, against the other British fighter,
Darren Barker.
Baker,
yeah.
Darren Baker, yeah.
Yeah.
Darren Barker, yeah. And that was actually a pretty decent fight. Barker did much better than people expected. And I think even in this fight, Matthew Macklin is going to have good early. He's going to do okay, but then once Sergio Martinez figures him out, starts coming to those angles. I mean, the bad thing for Macklin is Storm is the exact opposite of what Sergio Martinez is. So did nothing to get him ready. I mean, Felix Storm is a by the book, punch off the jab guy, and Sergio Martinez is a two-handed fighter where you never know where the punch is coming from.
True. Yeah. Well, enjoy it, man, and
I will enjoy the weekend no matter what.
I know. But we'll be talking next week.
Sounds good, and
I'll
start looking to the Italian jokes for Columbus Day.
We won't be talking next week because I'm going to be. I'm not doing a live show next Friday because I'm going to be doing a broadcast out of Georgia. So we're going to miss you for a week, my man. So at least you won't have the hangover. So we'll have to see you the following week.
Yeah, I wouldn't count on that. At least the hangover part.
No, I know. I knew what you meant, but all right, Marty. I'll talk to you soon.
Enjoy. Everybody have a great St. Patty's Day weekend.
All right, man. Thanks a lot. That's my man, Marty Mulcahy. Yeah, we hung up on him a few times, and that sucks. That sucks when that. I hate it when that happens. I hate it. But listen, I got to take a break. I'm a couple of minutes over. We'll be right back.
Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. now has official merchandise available on TalkinBoxing.com. T-shirts, sweatshirts, hoodies, and mugs. And yes, even undergarments. Talkin' Boxing apparel is the perfect gift for the boxing fan in your life. Log on to www.talkinboxing.com. That's TalkinBoxing.com and place your order today.
Join us here for 2 hours as Billy and the gang do what they do best.
Every time I start talking about boxing, a white man got to pull Rocky Marciano out their ass. Rocky Marciano was good, but compared to Joe Louis, Rocky Marciano ain't.
Kick Joe Louis's ass.
Joe Louis was 75 years old when he fought.
Huh?
What? We're supposed to be talking boxing.
It's Talking Boxing with Billy C.
As Billy C. sits here in the multi-million-dollar Talkin' Boxing studios, sipping a fine wine before you're even out of bed, you should be thinking, damn, I wish I had a mustache like his. It's the Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. show. He's Billy C., and you're not. Sucks to be you.
Talking Boxing with Billy C. Every week, 2 hours of the best boxing talk on the radio.
Mike Tyson looked like he put on some pounds. He was fat. He went into McDonald's and he just said to them, hey, give me 6 of everything on the menu. He put on 2 watches and covered 2 time zones. I'm talking fat here. Got on the scale the other day and it said, come on, one of you guys got to get off. Last thing I heard is that he jumped into the ocean and he left a ring around the continent. He's fat.
Boxing
with Billy C.
Now let's dig into our archives and hear a rare interview when Billy C. first became the champion of boxing talk radio. Hello, Billy C. As the new champ, can we ask you a few questions?
Why, certainly.
Okay, your fans would like to know how you and your corner have successfully walloped the competition.
We're not ordinary people. We're morons.
Anything else?
I'm a victim of circumstance.
Did your success finally come when you made the show 5 days a week for 2 hours? What do you think?
I'm trying to think, but nothing happens.
Now, please tell the listeners what you've learned from making it this far.
Certainly. If at first you don't succeed, keep on sucking till you do succeed.
Great words of wisdom, Billy C. Keep up the great work as the undisputed People's Champion with your show, Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. Any last words to anyone who's listening?
This is your fault, you bonehead.
And we're back. You are listening to the Talking Boxing with Billy C, a radio show. You're watching us on the Fight Now television channel. And if you don't have Fight Now on your sports channel lineup, then you need to call your local television provider and tell them that you want the Fight Now channel added to your sports channel lineup right now. It's that simple. Pick up the phone and give them a call. Tell them, I want Fight Now right now. And don't forget, every night is Fight Night on Fight Now, 10 p.m. Eastern Time. Check out the website for all the information about the latest fight that's going to be on tonight at 10 p.m. Eastern Time, and any other information you need to know about the channel, www.fightnow.com. And speaking of now, what we're going to be doing is got a couple other news tidbits I want to pass along, and then we got to start breaking down the fights because we got 11 of them this week. I started to say that Envenji Gradovic was supposed to take on Alejandro Lopez. We just announced this fight yesterday. It's taking place at the end of the month, March 31st. And it was announced yesterday that now he will be taking on Francisco Leal, who's got a record of 16 wins, 5 losses, and 3 draws, with 10 of his W's come by knockout. It's in the featherweight division, and it will be the main event on a top-ranked card next week. So, last-minute problems, man. These things happen in the sport, so mark that one down. Also, I've been telling you guys about how I can't stand the WBC. Well, it was announced yesterday that they established a ring official supervision committee. I wonder what this is going to cost all the promoters and fighters that want to fight under their for one of their green belts. Apparently, they organized a officials supervision committee, and Tom Kaczmarek, who was the Nevada State Athletic Commissioner for a while. He is headed. He's the main guy of the committee, and they also have judges that are no longer active. Angelo Paletti, he's an Italian. Larry O'Connor from England, and Richard Steele from the United States. They're all part of this committee, as is Ken Murata from Japan. Now, here's the other little twist. They are announcing that they're going to have a special guest supervisor during these. Now, what these guys are going to do is they're going to check out videos and make conclusions with all of their own opinions. And these these opinions and reviews, I should say, of the video is going to be used during the judge and referee clinics that the WBC puts on. I think that the WBC should focus on getting judges that can actually watch fights, that actually don't fill out their scorecards before the fight happens, and that's what seems to be a trend right now. And speaking of the Nevada State Athletic Commission, the WBO was informed by Keith Kaiser, the new Nevada State Athletic Commissioner, that Omar Nino Romero, who's scheduled to fight at the end of the month in Nevada, owes $11,250 to the Nevada State Athletic Commission for a fine that's been floating around since 2006. So this guy hasn't paid that for 6 years, and the Nevada State Athletic Commission says, guess what? We are going to be tapping into his purse on that night. So bottom line is, if you're from another country and you come over here in the States and you get a disciplinary fine, you can run, but you can't hide, because these states want their money. They want their money. They want their money. Hey, don't forget about the French invasion. That's right. Next week, next Saturday, on March 24th, we're going to be broadcasting the French invasion, which is going to feature Frank Hiroshi Horta against Grady Brewer. We're going to come at you live on LDL TV out of Florida. They're also going to stream it on LDLTV.com and Ustream, so check it out. I'm going to be calling the action from ringside, and we're looking forward to an exciting night of boxing, so check that one out. If you have a website or know of someone who runs one, if you're interested in getting a code for that, it's being made available to you. All you got to do is email me, Billy at TalkinBoxing, TalkinBoxing.com, and I will get you that information. Another thing I want to pass along, don't forget about the New York State Boxing Hall of Fame. April 1st, Sunday, my friend Harold Letterman is being inducted He asked me to be there to support him. I'm going, and I want you to join us too. We got to support Harold Letterman and all the other New York fighters and other members of the New York boxing world are being inducted for their first year as the New York State Boxing Hall of Fame. It's taking place in Long Island on Sunday, April 1st. For all information and how you can get some tickets, visit the website www.ring8ny.com. That's ring the number 8ny.com. Tell them Billy C sent you and that you want the Billy C discount. All right, let's start with the fights. Here's where David Allen starts crying. You know, this is where he starts crying because he doesn't know much about picking fights. This year, I'm ahead of him right out of the gate, and he's sinking deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper into the abyss. And this week's going to be a tough one. We got 11 fights. First fight we're going to talk about is a championship fight. Antonio DeMarco against Miguel Roman. Now, Antonio DeMarco, he's currently the WBC World lightweight champion. He's got a record of 26 wins, 19 come by knockout. He's got 2 losses, was stopped 1 time in those 2 losses, and he does have a draw. He's a southpaw. He's only 26 years old. He's been in a bunch of wars. That's his style. He's 5'10". He's got a 71-inch reach. He's fought 145 rounds as a pro with a 66% knockout ratio. His only stoppage loss came at the hands of Edwin Valero. Now, he had won the world lightweight title, the WBC's world lightweight title, against Jose Alfaro in 2009. He stopped Alfaro in the 10th round. And then about 4 months later, he stepped in the ring with Valero and couldn't continue, losing by a 9th round knockout. A lot of people thought that was it. They thought that this guy was, exposed. And we all know Edwin Valero had busted onto the scene and then checked out shortly after that fight. He followed that fight, that loss, with a win over Daniel Atta. He took care of Daniel Atta in 2 rounds, which set him up for an opportunity for what the WBC terms as their silver belt, which is just a BS name for an interim belt. And that came against Reyes Sanchez in 2011, and he won a 12-round decision in that, which set him up for his last fight and the vacant WBC lightweight title. Now, I don't understand how that happens. Here's a guy that wins the interim belt, or the silver belt in this case, because the WBC wants to be rebels. And he steps in with Jorge Linares. This was a fight that I think will go down in history, in my mind at least, as being one of the debacles. We've been critical of the commentators of late. And this was one that seemed so blatantly corporate that it was sickening. This was the fight, if you recall, in the very first round, we had to listen to the HBO commentators, including their ringside expert, Manny Stewart, all tell us that Jorge Linares was the best boxer that they have ever seen. It just shocked me to hear those words come out of Manny Stewart's mouth, especially. Lampley and Merchant and anybody else or whoever else did the call. If it was, you know what? I think it was Max Kellerman, as a matter of fact. All of those guys were, it doesn't shock me. They're being told what to say. But Manny, for him to say that, he said he very well could have been the best boxer we ever saw. This was almost at the conclusion of round 1. And for the most part, he dominated DeMarco throughout that fight. But DeMarco came on and started busting up Linares as the fight went deeper and deeper. And as a matter of fact, speaking of deeper, it was a deep, severe cut that Linares kept trying to fight through. There was blood all over his face. And the end came in the 11th round when Antonio DeMarco just triumphantly knocked out Jorge Linares to get the come-from-behind victory and the title. Now, this is going to be his first world title defense, and he's going up against a guy, Miguel Mikey Roman, who's been around a long time. He's a former world title challenger. He's got a record of 37 wins, 28 coming by knockout. He's got 9 losses, never been stopped. He's only 26 years old with all these fights, too, by the way. He's 5'5", 290 rounds as a professional. 290 rounds. That's way more than 100 more than than DeMarco has. He also he's given up a lot of height. He's only 5'5", and like I mentioned, DeMarco's a tall for a lightweight at 5'10". Here's the thing about Roman. If you go back in a couple of years, he lost 3 fights in a row between mostly in 2008 and then the third one in 2009, all against top opponents: Jorge Solis, Eduardo Escobedo, and Fernando Beltran. Lost 3 fights in a row. Now, he followed that with a couple of wins against a couple of decent fighters in Andreas Romeo and Daniel Ruiz, but a couple of the other ones were just punching bags. And again, he steps in the ring in 2009 against Miguel Beltran Jr. and loses a very close 10-round decision. And then in the next fight, 2 months later, against Antonio Escalante, lost a 10-round decision. Does that deter him? No. He steps back in the ring and rattles off 5 victories in a row, all by knockout against marginal opposition at best, with the exception of Tyrone Harris and Angel Peralio. They were okay fighters, but whatever. And in 2011, he got a shot at the WBA's World Featherweight title against Jonathan Victor Barrios and went the distance but came up short. His last 5 fights, he's 4 wins and 1 loss, and that loss came his last time out against Javier Fortuna. Here's the thing. Every time this guy steps up in class, he has a tendency to lose. He beats the lower-end guys, no problem, and he comes out on top in most cases against the average to better fighters. But when he steps up into that next level, he comes up short. And he's stepping up into that next level this weekend against Antonio DeMarco. I'm picking DeMarco. In a fight that I've been going back and forth on, and, my man David Allen just helped me convince myself who to pick, because I'm not going to go with his side, even though I at one point I did. Alex Lepai against Kevin Johnson. It's in a heavyweight division now. Alex Lepai has got 25 wins, 20 coming by knockout. He's got 3 losses, and he was stopped 1 time. He also has 3 draws. Now, he's 32 years old. He's 6 foot tall, 75-inch reach. He's got 153 rounds as a pro with a 65% knockout ratio. Now, 6 foot as a heavyweight is small today, in my opinion. Some interesting stuff about Lepai. He started off, and after his 6th pro fight, so his first 6 fights, he had kind of the same record across the board. He had 2 wins, 1 coming by knockout, 2 losses. He was stopped 1 time, and 2 draws. It doesn't sound like a potential future world champion, at least by today's standards, the way they look at records. And, after 6 pro fights, this guy was 2-2-2. He turns around, he wins 7 in a row, 6 by knockout, against all pretty much weak opposition, which set him up in a fight against Colin Wilson. Now, Colin Wilson could box a little bit. He was not dangerous, and Colin Wilson went into that record in 2008. He went into that fight with a record of 33 wins, 23 losses, and won a very close split decision against Alex Lepai. Now, fast forward, he wins 7 more in a row, 5 by knockout, and then he steps in with Mataska Taraya. And Taraya was a very marginal fighter at 6 wins, 3 losses, and 1 draw, but one thing was constant. This guy could box a little bit, and Lepai ended up with a draw there. Now, his last 9 fights that he had, he won all 9 in a row, 8 of them by knockout against good opposition. He's got a knockout win over Travis Walker. He's got a knockout win over Owen, what the heck are you still fighting for, Beck. That was in 2010. And he went the distance, or I should say Darnell Wilson went the distance with him. But Darnell Wilson's a tough guy that goes the distance with everybody. His last 3 fights were against decent opposition. Troy Wida, Envy Orlov, and Okello Peter, all on knockout victories. Now, he steps in the ring with Kevin Johnson. Kevin Johnson's a former world title challenger when he fought Vitaly Klitschko back in 2009. Up until that fight, I really was sold on Kevin Johnson. I made statements like Kingpin is the next world champ. He's the real deal. Blah, 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 blah. Boy, did I get suckered into that. Early in his career, one of the reasons why I said this, when you look through his resume, you'll see all the usual suspects getting their tails beat by Kevin Johnson. But you'll see a couple of fights that were pretty big early on. Like in 2004, he fought Robert Wiggins and beat him. In 2006, he fought Robert Hawkins and beat him. Those were two tough fights at the time for this guy. The biggest fight he had early on was in 2007 when he stepped in against Damian Willis. Damian Wills. Damian Wills at the time was 22-1. As a matter of fact, we had these guys on the show. We had a segment called Head to Head, and we had these two guys going head to head against each other. I should find the footage of that. It was great. It was the fight before the fight is what we called. And, that was an important fight for him. Now, Wills kind of went in a different direction after this fight, and so did Kevin Johnson. Kevin Johnson went up, but from that point on, with the exception of a fight that I was ringside for against Bruce Seldon in Atlantic City, he was his opponents were handpicked. And this is one of the things I can't stand about the sport. Just by being active, he got a shot at Vitaly Klitschko's belt in 2009. Now, the Bruce Seldon fight, that was going back and forth until Seldon sustained this really strange, it wasn't a cut, it was just a puffiness under the eye. He claimed that Kevin Johnson thumbed him in the eye. I never saw a thumb, but Seldon couldn't continue. And, that's what got him the win. Now, the Klitschko fight, what really got me about that fight was all the bragging that Kevin Johnson did. Kevin Johnson was saying stuff like he's the greatest heavyweight ever. And he even mentioned that he felt he was better than Muhammad Ali. He went to the press with it. Made me sick to watch him, after making those comments, do what he did against Vitaly Klitschko. And that, my friends, in my opinion, was he had no plans of trying to engage and win that fight. All he wanted to do was survive, and that's exactly what he did to earn his first and only loss. He's got a record of 25 wins, 11 coming by knockout, 1 loss, 1 draw. The draw came in his 4th pro fight, so we kind of throw that one away against Timur Bragimov. He's 6'3" with an 82-inch reach. And he's got 157 rounds as a pro with a 41% knockout ratio. Now, with all of this said, as much as I hate Kevin Johnson, and as much of a power puncher I believe Alex Lepai is, I also believe that Kevin Johnson is going to do what the only fighters that have given Lepai trouble have done, and that's outbox him, keep him a safe distance away. It's not going to be an exciting fight, but I think Kevin Johnson's going to come out on top. I'm picking Kevin Johnson. In a fight that I do think is going to be exciting, Giacobi Fragomeni is taking on Silvio Branco. Now, the non-exciting part is that both of these guys are well into their 40s. Excuse me. But they're fighting each other, which generally means we're going to have a decent fight. It's not like one of these guys is 20 and the other one's 40. Giacobi Fragomeni, he's a former world cruiserweight champion. He's got a record of 29 wins, 12 come by knockout, 3 losses, stopped 2 times. He's got a draw. He's 5'9.5", 238 rounds of pro with a 36% knockout ratio. Over the last 3 years, he's had 6 fights. He's had a record of 3 wins, 2 losses, and 1 draw. His last 3 fights were all wins, 3 in a row, 2 by knockout. What does it all mean? It means that he's been somewhat busy. He did fight twice in 2011. This will be his first fight of 2012. He steps in the ring with Silvio Branco. Now, Silvio Branco was a former world light heavyweight champion. And like I mentioned, Fragomeni was a former cruiserweight champion. The other thing is that Branco started out as a middleweight, then he went to super middleweight, and then, of course, light heavyweight. Now he's in cruiserweight. I think that's an important factor here. Now, he's got more fights and rounds than Fragomeni. He's got 489 rounds as a pro with a 50% knockout ratio. He's 45. He's got 62 wins, 37 coming by knockout, and 10 losses. 4 of those losses he was stopped. He's got 4 draws in his last 3 fights. He's won them all. 2 of them by knockout. 1 by knockout. But those 3 fights have spanned 2 years. With that said, and the fact that Giacobi Fragomeni is naturally the bigger guy, and Fragomeni is actually the youngster in this fight. He's only 42, and Silvio Branco is 45. I'm picking the bigger, younger guy. I'm picking Giacobi Fragamenti in what I think is going to be a kind of an entertaining fight. I think both of these guys are going to give it their all. So I'm picking Giacobi Fragamenti over Silvio Branco. We're going to take a short break. When I come back, we're going to finish up with the rest of the fights that I'm going to break down and give you predictions, and we still got a bunch to go. I said we still got a bunch to go.
The 2012 Summer Olympic Games unfold in 5 months in London. The honor and the history of playing host goes back a long way. How long? That's next on Sports Shorts with me, the Sports Princess.
This Your Family Today tip is brought to you by Stouffer's, helping bring your family together with wholesome dinner options, even on the busiest of nights. Find dinner table ideas to bring your family together at letsfixdinner.com. To get kids involved in dinnertime conversation, ask specific questions, not broad ones. Instead of what happened today at school, try what was the best thing that happened today. The more specific you are, the more they'll have to say. For more tips like these, visit us at parenthood.com/yourfamilytoday.
Legend has it that the Olympics go back to Hercules, but let's leave Greek mythology out of it. The modern games opened in 1896. Since Athens couldn't afford to put them on, a businessman ponied up the coin. Pole vaulting, weightlifting, shot put, and swimming, few of the handful of events. Since those days, some of the original sports remain. Others come and go, depending on the whims of the International Olympic Committee. Australia, France, Germany, and China have hosted summer games, and this will be the third time for London. As for the winter games, the U.S. has hosted them 4 times since they started in 1924 in France, featuring sports like alpine cross-country skiing, figure skating, and such. Between the summer and the winter games, there are hundreds of sports and thousands of athletes. You never know what city is going to get a crack at hosting next. I'm the Sports Princess with Sports Shorts.
Now back to Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. He may not have an Excellence in Broadcasting award, but the night's still young.
And he's got martinis.
So you never know what may be by morning. It's Talkin' Boxing with Billy C.
Talkin' Boxing with Billy C.
The one, the only, Don King.
Makes me feel good, Billy, to have you, the #1 show in the country, Talking Boxing with Billy. So I invite each and every American that's listening to this great show to tune in, because we want you to be there with Billy and me.
Sweet Susie Q, she was a rebel, no angel wings, more like the devil. She was so hot, so cool and nasty, believe it or not, here's what she asked me, if you need love with no
And we're back. Tell me that wasn't annoying. You're listening to the Talking Boxing with Billy C radio show. You're watching us on the Fight Now television channel. And speaking of Fight Now, if you don't have it on your sports channel lineup, you need to call your local television provider and tell them that you want it. That's it. That's what you got to do, man. You got to call them up, tell them, like Gollum said, I want it. I want it. Call them up. Tell them you want the Fight Now channel added to your lineup. Rumor has it that if you do that, if you start making some noise, you're going to get it. So pick up the phone, call them. Keep calling them until you get it. That's the way you got to do it. For all the information about the channel, visit their website, www.fightnow.com. And speaking of now, we are going through the fights that we have on the Billy C Challenge. If you're not part of the Billy C Challenge, visit the website, www.BillyCBoxing.com. Click the Billy C Challenge option. You can join it. You get to pick. We give out a monthly prize, and we give out a grand prize at the end of the year for whoever wins it. It's for free, and we'd love to have you join. Okay, we're up to Kell Brook against Matthew Hatton. Now, there's only one Ricky Hatton, and Matthew Hatton isn't Ricky. Matthew Hatton's a former world title challenger. He's got to win 42 wins, 16 come by knockout. He's got 5 losses, only stopped 1 time. He's a tough kid. He's 30 years old. He's got 2 draws. He's 5'8.5", 325 rounds of pro with a 33% knockout ratio. Now, his last fight, he won 12-round decision against Andre Abracamenka. That took place in the UK. It was a 12-round decision for an international title. The fight before that, he got a shot at his world title against Saul Alvarez. We all remember the fight. He showed a lot of guts and determination, but he also showed a lot of limitations when it comes to skill. Nothing like his brother, in my opinion, but a fun fighter to watch nonetheless. Now, he steps in with one of the brightest young stars in the welterweight division in Kell Brook. This kid is the real deal. Now, you can argue and say who's he fought, because when you look at his resume, there's a couple of guys on there of late that are noticeable. He's undefeated at 26-0 with 18 knockouts. He did beat Rafael Jakowicz, which is an impressive win. He stopped him back in 2011. He also had wins over Lovemore Nadeau and Philip Cody and, of course, Michael Jennings. But aside from those fights, everyone else on his resume are more commonly known over on the other side of the pond, and they're not exactly too dangerous. But despite that, Kell Brook is the real deal. I'm anticipating this fight to catapult him into a world title shot, and I'm looking forward to it. I'm picking Kell Brook in a fight that I think is going to be boring at times because of the one-sided factor. Kell Brook is going to have no problem with Matthew Hatton. Kell can box, and that's what you got to do to beat Matt Hatton. The next fight we're going to pick is we're going to jump to the Raul Cazares against J.D. Candelero fight. Now, Cazares is 18 wins, 2 losses. 9 of his wins came by knockout, and 1 of his losses came by knockout. He was knocked out back in 2005 against Rudy Cisneros. Now, you've heard that name before. Now, when you look at Cazares' record, El Tigre, if you will, 84 rounds with a 43% knockout. The kid is only 25. Hasn't really fought anyone. His level of opposition is very very weak, in my opinion. He does have some wins over experienced fighters. Now, you know what that means. That means that they have a lot of fights, but not many wins. And his wins, his big wins, typically come over fighters that are beginning, young fighters. But he's a young fighter as well. I think one of his biggest wins against his best opposition had to be against Anthony Greenidge. And Greenidge was 14 wins, 5 losses, and a draw, and he struggled against him in Florida. Now, he steps in with a guy that's pretty solid, man. He's a pretty solid fighter in J.C. Candelero. That's Juan Carlos Candelero. He's a former world title challenger. He's 38 years old. I think that's an important factor here. I think he's 38 years old with lots of mileage on him. He's got 32 wins, 21 come by knockout. He's got 10 losses. Only stopped once in that 10 with those 10 losses, and that came at the hands of Kasim Uma way back in 2004. He's got 4 draws. One of the things, he's 5'11". He's got 289 rounds of pro, 46% knockout ratio. He lost 4 out of 5 against quality opponents that started with his knockout loss to Kasim Uma in 2004, and then ended against Verno Phillips. In that span, he lost 4 out of 5 fights. Here's the thing. He fought James Moore. Now, James Moore, was a highly touted prospect at the time. This was back in 2008. He was undefeated. They fought in New York City at Madison Square Garden. And J.C. Candelero lost a 10-round decision. That was in 2008. Now, he has rattled off wins since then. That was actually his last loss because he's got 5 wins in a row, and 3 of those wins came by knockout. 1 came by disqualification. Now, the thing is 2008 all the way up to today, with those fights, they've all been against very marginal opposition. A couple of fighters that on paper look good, but their records, if you look deep into them, were built up and everything else. With all of that said, the bottom line, what I could say about J.C. Candelero is that every time he steps up his level of opposition, he loses. Now, when he steps in the ring against the kid here that I just mentioned, who did I mention? Where the heck is his name? Raul Cazares. Cazares hasn't fought the same level of opposition as Candelero, but I think the mileage is just too much, and I think that the old Candelero is going to break down. I think it's time for the Ute in this one. I'm picking Raul Cazares to win. But I tell you, I wouldn't be surprised if he didn't come out on top. The next fight I'm picking is going to be the Glenn Donaire against Omar Salado fight. The Salado fight is a tough one, in my opinion. Glenn Donaire, former world title challenger, 18 wins, 10 losses. 18 wins, 10 of his wins come by knockout. He's got 4 losses, only stopped 1 time. He's got a draw. Now, he hadn't fought in several years. He took 2 years off after his loss to Victor Chinian, where it was a technical decision. That was in October of 2006. Didn't fight again until 2008 against Jose Albuquerque and won an 8-round decision against him. Fought 5 months later against Ulises Solis for the World Light Flyweight title and lost a 12-round decision. That put him on the shelf all the way until December of last year when he fought and beat Alex Sanchez when Sanchez couldn't come out after the 7th round. And that won him the Latino Flyweight title. So, really, he only his last fight was only a few months ago, 3-4 months ago. Now, he steps in with Omar Salado. And Salado, he too is a former world title challenger. He's got a little better record, and he's been more consistently busy. He's got 23 wins, 14 come by knockout, 4 losses, and 2 draws. The thing about his losses is every time he's lost, he's been stopped. But he's been stopped by some good fighters like Roman Gonzalez, who was undefeated. He also was stopped by Luis Concepcion. Can't complain about him. And Julio Cesar Miranda back in 2008 stopped him. The one guy that did stop him as well that wasn't exactly a household name was Francisco Marquez, who had a record of 16-7 going into it. Now, he was in a very good fight early on against Fernando Hernandez in his 5th professional fight that ended in a draw. And his first fight against Ulises Solis was also a 12-round draw, and that was for the first shot of a world title. So he's had 3 shots at a world title, come up short all 3 times. Now, this guy is young. He's the same age as Glenn Donaire. They're both 32 years old. But, again, I think the mileage factor is going to play an important role here, and that's why I'm going with Glenn Donaire in this one. But it's a 50-50 fight. I was very torn because I felt that Salado definitely fought the tougher opposition. But I agree with Marty. Marty made a good point. And the fact is that he feels that Glenn Donaire is a little more preserved, and that very well could be, and did not get stopped as often as Salado. So I'm picking Glenn Donaire in a close one. I think it's going to be a close one. So that's that. The next fight is tonight, and I hope some of the other co-features that they're going to put on TV are going to be entertaining. But I know that this one will be. Kendall Holt against Tim Coleman. Now, Timmy Coleman, who's got 19 wins, 5 coming by knockout. Keep that in the back of your mind for a second. 2 losses, only stopped at 1 time. That was his last fight against Vernon Paris. He's 27 years old. He's got 128 rounds as a professional with a 23% knockout ratio. It was his second pro loss only in his last fight against Vernon Paris. His first pro loss came at the hands of James De La Rosa. Something about those 2 fighters. He also had wins against Patrick Lopez, which was pretty shocking. Not only did he beat him, he knocked him out in 3 rounds. And Pat Lopez is a tough SOB. He's got a win just like Kendall Holt over Mighty Mike Aranudis. He won a split decision against Mighty Mike Aranudis. That, too, is an important factor in my decision. Now, when I keep saying this, I look at this guy, and he comes in shape, to throw a lot of punches. And like Marty pointed out, he loves to work the body. But he's failed to get that many knockouts with only 5. Vernon Paris he had on the ground with a body shot, and then he was pretty much winning the fight when Vernon Paris stopped him and pummeled his own body. Now, he steps in with Kendall Holt. Now, Kendall Holt has clearly had his career filled with ups and downs, but he still is only 30 years old. He's a former world junior welterweight champion. He's got 27 wins, 15 come by knockout. He has 5 losses, and he was stopped 3 times, but these were against top fighters. There's no question about that. he was knocked out by Ricardo Torres that he later avenged. He also has another fight early in his career. He was knocked out, but he's got wins over Isaac Lashuelo, which is a pretty tough fight to win. You know, I mean, Lashuelo is a guy that has shocked a lot of us. I put a lot of emphasis in that fight. However, it took place in 2006. He too has a unanimous win over Mighty Mike Arenutis. The first round knockout when he avenged the Ricardo Torres loss was one for the ages. He had a close win over Demetrius Hopkins. A lot of people thought Hopkins won that fight. He fought and went the distance with Timothy Bradley. Kaiser Mabuza was the second and actually the third time he had been knocked out in that one. A lot of people thought he was finished after that, but he followed it up with 3 wins in a row. Actually, 2 wins in a row, and should have been a third. Lenin Ororio, which was a marginal fighter, that was get back on horse and win. Julio the Kid Diaz, made quick work of him in 2011. And then also to close out the year last year, in October, he fought Danny Swift Garcia and lost a very controversial 12-round split decision. Now, somewhere around the Kaiser Mabuza fight, he signed on with former New York Giants, and I hope that he never goes back to the Giants. But the running back is his manager, and you see him all the time in the ring. What does that mean? I don't know. It means that Kendall Holt might have shifted his gears a little bit. I think the Danny Garcia fight, they gave Garcia a gift, just like they gave him a gift against Theophane. Listen, Timmy Coleman is the favorite in this fight. I'm picking Kendall Holt. I'm picking Kendall Holt in this fight. I think it's going to be a tough fight, and I think Kendall Holt's got too much power. So we'll see what happens with that one. The next one I'm picking is on the undercard of the Showtime broadcast tonight. Randy Caballero against Jose Luis Arizara. Why can't I say this guy's name? Arizara, he's got a record of 29 wins, 20 coming by knockout. He's lost 5 times, 4 by knockout. He's 33 years old. He's got a 64-inch reach. He's 5'3", 164 rounds as a pro. You know what? The thing with this guy is he's tough. He's out of Mexico. Every time he steps up his level of opposition, he comes up short. Now, he's stepping in with a young gun, Randy Caballero. Caballero's undefeated, 13-0 with 7 knockouts. He's only 21 years old, and he's only had 50 50 professional rounds as a pro, 54% knockout ratio. Really hasn't fought anybody good, but he's shown some glimpse of talent, and because of that, I'm picking him to beat. Excuse me. Well, there's a sneeze for you, you know. Ugh. But anyway, I apologize for that. That one I couldn't control. But Jose Luis Ariaza, whatever, man. I'm stumbling with this guy's name. I couldn't say it yesterday either. Is going to be. I think Caballero's going to be showcased in that fight. So I'm picking Caballero. I know it's a showcase fight for him, but I think he's going to really show us that he's ready for the big time. In the main event, which is a really tough one to pick, Omar Figueroa against Ramon Ayala. Now, Omar Figueroa, he's undefeated as well, 14-0 with 11 knockouts. He's got a draw. He's only 22 years old, 5'9", 76-inch reach, 48 rounds of pro with a 73% knockout ratio. He's got a pretty impressive win over Michael Perez, who was undefeated. That was his last fight. That fight I put a lot of emphasis in because I think Omar Figueroa showed us what he was. Because other than that fight, he had the usual suspects on his way up. So it's very hard to judge how good Omar is. Now, he steps in with a pretty decent fighter in his own right. 1 year older. He's only 23. He's from Mexico, 23 wins, 2 losses, 1 draw. Both losses came by stoppage, and of his 23 wins, he's got 11 knockouts. He's got a 69-inch reach, and he, too, is 5'9". He's got more than double, substantially more than double of the amount of rounds, 127 rounds as a pro with a 42% knockout ratio. But this is another one of those examples where, when he steps up in competition, we can't tell how good he's done because when he lost, he lost to very low-end competition, like Antonio Sanchez was 4-5-1, and he got knocked out by him. And early in his career, he was knocked out by an 8-1 fighter, David Rodelia, which, you know him. Listen, I think this is a good fight on paper, but I also think that Ramon Ayala may be a guy that was just built up, and Omar Figueroa is going to shine tonight. But I don't want you to think that AL is a layup fight. I wouldn't call it a layup fight for Figueroa, but nonetheless, I'm picking Omar Figueroa in that one. Now, for the last two fights of the weekend are going to be arguably the best two, in my opinion. Edwin La Bamba Rodriguez is going up against Donovan Da Bomb George. Donovan Da Bomb George is. I love watching this guy. I know I got my man Murphy in the. Chat room, and you know he's from around the same area as Donovan Da Bomb George is, the Chicago area, and he's been pretty helpful with explaining that Donovan George's early career has just been against nobodies. But the thing about Donovan George is he's exciting. He can take a punch, and he certainly can deliver one. However, his boxing skill and his defensive skills, they don't exist. He's 27 years old, 22 wins, 19 coming by knockout. He's got a loss and a draw. He's got 83 rounds as a pro. He's 6 foot tall with a 70-inch reach, 83 rounds with 79% knockout ratio. His three biggest wins, in my opinion, or at least definitely, I mean, you could argue and say that his last two fights were good, too, against, good guys on paper. Maxwell Taylor was 15-2-1. He stopped him in 8. And he blew out Cornelius White, who was undefeated. But remember what I'm saying. Those two guys were good on paper. The fight prior to that, where I think Donovan George really got exposed by a boxer, was Francisco Sierra when he just destroyed Donovan George in that fight. But before that fight, I thought that Donovan George had 3 good wins, which made me put my eyes on him. Jason Nagler, who doesn't exactly have a stellar record at 18-10-1. I believe going into this fight had never been stopped before. And I think Donovan George was the first one to stop him. He also fought Phil Williams, who was 11-2, and he fought Asumanyo Adama and won a decision over him. Now, those 3 fights are important to me, and I do think Donovan George is a little better than my man Murphy does. He steps in with Edwin La Bamba Rodriguez. Now, Edwin La Bamba Rodriguez was supposed to have been improved. He got, a little more boxing skill. At least he tried to fight with a little more boxing skill. He does have some power. He's 6 foot tall. He's got a 76-inch reach. He's got 94 rounds of pro with a 70% knockout ratio. He's undefeated at 20-0 with 14 knockouts. In his last fight against Will Rowinski, that fight was a lot closer than many of us. Many of us think that fight was a lot closer than the scorecards indicated. He won a unanimous 10-round decision against Will Rowinski, and Will Rowinski was a fighter that I didn't put much value in. Chris Trietti was supposed to be a tough test for him, and that didn't prove to be much. Aaron Pryor Jr. and James McGirt, those 2 wins that Edwin Rodriguez had was impressive. But since then, I don't know if I've seen him really get any better, even though that he's supposed to have gotten better. The one thing about Edwin Rodriguez, the thing that he does better than Donovan George, and why I'm picking La Bamba over Donovan Da Bomb George, is that Edwin can box. And DeGeorge, well, he doesn't have much of a defense, and he's very one-dimensional. He comes at you, and he tries to land the bombs, and that's why they call him the bomb. And he's got some power, but I think that Edwin Rodriguez's boxing ability will be too much for him. I'm picking Edwin Rodriguez. Now, for the main event of that card, and also the best fight of the week, at least the most popular fight, Sergio Gabriel Martinez is taking on Matthew Macklin. Now, everybody keeps saying about Matthew Macklin being an Irish guy. And my man Alex T pointed out, and you can punch up and look and see for yourself that he is actually an Englishman. He was born in Birmingham. in England. He's got 28 wins, 19 coming by knockout. He's got 3 losses and was stopped 1 time. He's 5'10". He's got a 72-inch reach, 163 rounds as a pro with a 61% knockout ratio. Now, in his last fight, many of us believe that he won that fight and got robbed in Germany against Felix Sturm. He lost a split decision, highly controversial, 12-round decision when he challenged Felix Sturm for his WBA super middleweight title. I'm sorry. His world middleweight title, the WBA super world middleweight title. This is such BS, isn't it? But prior to that, his last 6 fights were all wins, and they were all against decent opposition. You know that Sturm was a good opponent. He also fought and beat Ruben Varon, 35-5, Shalavala Jomandarshvili, 27-2. Don't you love when I stumble across these names? Rafael Pintos, 34-4. Amanin Askian, 26-2. And Wayne Elcock, 19-3. A couple of good fighters. Not as known here in the States, but you could talk to some of these know-it-alls from the other side of the pond, and they'll tell you that they're pretty good. Now, he steps in with many believe is a pound-for-pound top fighter. I think we have him up there at number 3 maybe, or number 4, Sergio Martinez. Now, I consider Sergio Martinez the world middleweight champion. However, technically, he's only the WBC Diamond middleweight champion, which is actually their version of the super middleweight champion, but not to be confused with the super middleweight division. Everybody looks at Sergio Martinez as the guy, even though somebody stripped him and then gave it back to him. I don't know. Even I lost track. Problem with Martinez is he's 37. He's 5'10". He's got a 75-inch reach, 358 rounds as a pro with a 52% knockout ratio. His record, that's a good one, 48 wins, 27 coming by knockout. He's got 2 losses, and one of those losses came by knockout loss, but that was 12 years ago against Antonio Margarito, and it was in his 18th fight, and it was his first professional loss. So it's been 12 years since he was stopped. Now, he lost sooner than that. He lost against Paul Williams back in 2009, a majority draw loss that he eventually got back at Paul Williams pretty devastatingly by destroying him in 2 rounds. If you don't remember that one, go watch that. Since his fight, that very controversial draw against Kermit Cintron, he's kind of been on another level. He totally destroyed Kelly Pavlik, dominating him for 12 rounds. We all saw what he did to Paul Williams in their second fight. He stopped Sergio Dinzan-Zurich in a pretty entertaining fight, but Dinzan-Zurich was moving up in weight. And Darren Barker, he hung in there for a while, and a lot of people thought that maybe Martinez started to slip a little bit when he fought Darren Barker. Now, Barker went into that fight undefeated, 23-0. What does it all mean? It means Sergio Martinez might take him a little while to get started, but after a while, I think he's going to control the fight, and I think he's going to win the fight. And I think that Martinez and Lou DiBella are still waiting for that big payday, and they may wait forever. And that's that. And one thing I want to mention about Lou DiBella, hey Lou, if you're listening, get rid of Ed Keenan. He's a piece of garbage. Piece of garbage. That's a little message to Lou. So, in no particular order, my picks for the week: Kendall Holt over Tim Coleman, Randy Caballero against Jose Luis Arizara, Omar Figueroa against Ramon Ayala, Glenny Donaire against Omar Salado, Edwin La Bamba Rodriguez over Donovan Da Bomb George, Sergio Martinez over Matthew Macklin, Raul Cazares over J.C. Candelero, Kell Brook against Matthew Hatton, Giacobi Fragomeni against Silvio Bronco, Kevin Johnson, as much as it pains me to say, over Alex Lapai, and Antonio DeMarco against Miguel Roman. Listen, everybody, good luck with the picks. I hope everybody does well, except for David Allen. But make sure you get involved with the Billy C. Challenge if you're not already. Programming note, we will not be live 1 week from today. But for all the radio stations, and, of course, Fight Now. You guys will still get your show. We just won't be live out of here, that's all. But don't forget about the French Invasion, speaking of next week, Saturday, March 24th. You can catch it live on LDL TV, and they're going to stream it on LDLTV.com as well as Ustream. So make sure you see me, make fun of me, and I promise there will be no nuts and guts, folks.
Wake up. It's time for It's too early for a trivia question.
Wow, I'm interested in what they're talking about over here in the chat room. I love Corona ring card girls, man. I love them, and of course DeConte. I think they're the best. But we'll see. David Allen is hoping I sink as deep as he is in the rankings this week. But here's the question: we got a great prize on the line. A copy of the Title Bout Championship computer game. It's worth $40, $50, I forget. If you want information about the game, you can visit our website, www.BillyCBoxing.com, and right on the left-hand side, you'll see a banner that says Title Bout. Click it, and it'll give you all the information about the game. And I'm going to give you your own copy if you can get this trivia question right. And just I got to remind people, we do have the show available on many different. The show's available in many different ways, and everybody's eligible for the trivia question, but there's only one rule. You have to email your answer to Billy@TalkinBoxing, TalkinBoxing.com, because they get time-stamped. In the case if we have two correct answers come in, the first person that gets it in is the winner. So, Title Bout Championship computer game on the line for the first person that knows who fought the most fights between 1910 and 1919. Who fought the most fights between 1910 and 1919? If you know that answer, email me, Billy@TalkinBoxing, TalkinBoxing.com.
This day in boxing history.
And today's This Day in Boxing History is being brought to us by Campanaro and Tomkovich. If you need a lawyer, use the ones that keep me out of trouble. Campanaro and Tomkovich. Give them a call, 845-221-4099, and tell them I said I'm going to pick up the consultation fee. 845-221-4099. On this day, March 16th, back in 1996, yes, he got out of jail, and he did it. Mike Tyson knocks out Frank Bruno in the third round to regain the WBC World Heavyweight title. That took place on this day, March 16th, back in 1996 in Las Vegas. Enjoy all the fights this weekend. Good luck to everybody in the Billy C Challenge except for David Allen. But the most important thing to remember, make sure you tune in Monday morning, same bat time, same bat channel. There's only one channel, the Fight Now channel. Call your local television provider right now and tell them that you want the Fight Now channel added to your sports channel lineup. It's that simple. Visit their website for all the information, www.fightnow.com. See you all Monday. Ciao, baby.